Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Great Voyage. I, the strongest fighter on the Rocks ship. Chapter 21. The Marine fleet and the Rocks pirate approached, and the two sides faced each other on the sea. Just when Shaki and Newgate were about to fight, there was a sudden wave on the sea where Marine was. Two Marine warships floated from the sea to the surface, and their hulls were coated with a film. What, isn't it? Shaki and Newgate paused, and their faces became serious in surprise. There are actually a large number of Marines lurking on the coated warships. Captain Rocks, we have fallen into a trap. Marine seems to be well prepared. Newgate did not look back and said solemnly, HMPH, a group of shrimp soldiers and crab generals will grab the gold in the sky first. Rocks showed a ferocious smile and glanced at the Marine soldiers with ferocious eyes. Before he set off, he already felt that this operation would not be easy to succeed. Sengoku and Zephyr's preparedness was not enough to explain anything. This was the same posture they encountered any enemy. The key thing is that this lurking Marine is obviously aware of Rock's pirates' actions. But now is not the time to think about that. Rocks said to Yulo, Yulo, come on too. Then he stopped talking and stood quietly. Okay. Yulo heard the words and nodded in response. Marine's current formation was indeed beyond Rock's expectations, causing him to change the battle plan he had just made. Yulo looked at Rocks and stood motionless, showing no intention of taking action. He took 2 quick steps and came to Shaki and Newgate. The 2 warships floating up from the sea each have a Marine Vice Admiral on board, plus the 4 Vice Admirals behind Sengoku and Zephyr. At this time, the Marine lineup already has 6 Vice Admirals and twice as many Marine soldiers as the Rocks pirate crew. The originally high-spirited pirates, seeing this situation, felt like a bucket of cold water being poured down on them, and they couldn't help but want to retreat. Shaki, Newgate, let me do it. Yulo pondered for a moment and said firmly. In terms of high-level combat power, Rock's pirate has the advantage, but the number of people under its command is only half that of Marine. If this continues, this crew will be wiped out. Maybe Rocks usually treats them as cannon fodder, but now they are also a very important force. In this case, let's clear out the minions before the war begins. Oh, what are you going to do? Shaki and Newgate were a little surprised. They could vaguely guess what it was. Clear the soldiers first, Yulo said simply and directly with a solemn expression. But Sengoku on the opposite side also has Conqueror's Haki. He can completely use Haki to offset the shock. Newgate frowned slightly and said uncertainly, I will take action to contain Sengoku. If it fails, Newgate will take action immediately. Yulo immediately had a plan in mind and said in a deep voice, Fire Lotus descends from heaven. Before he finished speaking, cyan flames burst out from Yulo's right hand. A steady stream of cyan flames poured out, and under Yulo's control, they compressed into a palm-sized cyan transparent lotus. Yulo retracted his palm and watched the fire lotus float into the sky until it disappeared, with a smile on his lips. Is this Yulo's new move? Shaki murmured in confusion, staring curiously at the fire lotus as it disappeared. He had clearly sensed just now that the cyan flame was compressed into a lotus flower, with terrifying energy hidden inside. The pirates also knew the power of the blue flames, and their uneasy moods eased a bit. At this moment, the Marine fleet was in the sky. They only felt that the originally colorless sunlight had a faint cyan light, and at the same time the temperature seemed to have become higher. What's this? Is he a fruit user? Sengoku and Zephyr sensed the danger at the same time. The two subconsciously looked up and saw the clouds in the sky suddenly shattering. A green translucent lotus flower that was huge enough to cover all the warships fell upside down. In an instant, Sengoku, Zephyr and Marine were suffocated by a wave of heat falling from the sky. This heat wave was extremely hot. Sengoku and Zephyr vaguely felt that there seemed to be terrifying power contained in the green transparent lotus. Sengoku looked at the sky, his face darkening. If this attack were to land, Marine would probably suffer heavy casualties. Before the fighting even started, the morale of the Marine soldiers had already collapsed. This opportunity to eliminate Rocks is hard-won and must not be missed. This green fire lotus is not simple, be careful, Zephyr said from the side. Facing such a huge range of attacks, Sengoku, as a demon fruit power, has an advantage in blocking compared to Zephyr. Zephyr, don't worry, I will stop him. Sengoku's tone was solemn. This green fire lotus made him feel the pressure. The blue transparent lotus descended rapidly, getting closer and closer to the marine fleet. The temperatures marines endure are also getting higher and higher. Look at me. Sengoku's roar reached everyone's ears, and even Yulo kept paying attention. Sengoku, standing on the bow of the ship, ripped off the cloak of justice behind him and instantly activated his devil fruit ability. A figure with glittering golden light rose up and turned into a huge golden Buddha. Even the warship at Sengoku's feet could not bear the weight of this giant Buddha. The golden power fluctuates and condenses in the right hand. Sengoku looked at the green fire lotus, without any fear, and suddenly pushed his huge palm upwards. Big Buddha shock wave. On Sengoku's palm, the power continued to fluctuate, and he bombarded the green transparent fire lotus. The current Sengoku can be said to be strong, and at his peak, his strength is not inferior to Whitebeard Newgate. This move of yours should be blocked by Sengoku. Shiki looked at it with wide eyes and said to Yulo beside him. Just wait and see. Yulo smiled mysteriously. Sengoku's shock wave directly hit the center of the blue fire lotus. The powerful force blocked the rapid fall of the green fire lotus. Click, click, cracks gradually appeared in the fire lotus. But Sengoku also felt uncomfortable, as if he was in magma, and the hot breath went straight into his internal organs. If it weren't for the protection of the fruit, the body would have been dried up long ago. Hiss. Aha. Sengoku gritted his teeth and suddenly increased his strength, causing the green fire lotus to shatter. The Marines couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, but the temperature in the air did not drop. Just when Sengoku was about to release the great Buddha form. Sengoku, be careful, Zephyr exclaimed in his ears. Sengoku was shocked when he saw the fragments of the green fire lotus turned into streams of green flames and continued to shoot towards the warship below. Fire and meteor. This is the flame Yulo just compressed in the fire lotus. As long as the green fire lotus is broken, these flowing fires will burst out and form another attack. Even if the green fire lotus is not broken, it will be transformed into an attack under Yulo's control. A dense stream of green flowing fire fell from the sky, like meteors streaking across the sky. Your moves, will change on their own. Shiki was stunned and opened his mouth wide. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. This scene is awesome, but what if the ship carrying gold from the sky burns down? Shiki, don't worry, these flowing fires are all under my control, not to mention Sengoku and Zephyr. How could they ignore them? Yulo noticed Shiki's concern and explained aloud. Gu-la-la-la, Yulo's brain is so good. Newgate laughed. He watched for a long time, and he already knew Yulo's plan in his heart. This time, Shiki felt relieved. As expected, Big Buddha shock wave. Seeing this scene, Sengoku was furious and fired another powerful energy wave. Zephyr armament hockey covered it and stepped on moonwalk to stop the falling fire in midair. Zephyr, the temperature of this green fire is extremely high. Don't touch it. Just disperse it into the sea. Sengoku looked gloomy and said in a deep voice to Zephyr, who came to assist him. Okay. Zephyr nodded solemnly upon hearing this. Then the two of them took action at the same time. It's Commander Zephyr, he also took action. Sengoku and Zephyr, the two admiral candidates, attack at the same time, they can definitely block it. The Marine soldiers on the warship below exclaimed, seeing the two admiral candidates taking action at the same time. This scene made them feel a little more at ease. Compared to when Rock's pirate suddenly appeared just now, I felt much less frightened. Yulo, who was on the pirate ship in the distance, saw this scene, and the proud smile flashed on his face. He was waiting for this moment, the moment when Sengoku and Zephyr were fully focused on blocking the flow of fire and had no time to be distracted. Yulo's pupils shrank, and his domineering aura rose to the sky. Conqueror's hockey. The clouds broke and the sea surged. A black airflow appeared, sweeping the entire marine fleet with lightning speed. The soldiers below the rank of generals suddenly felt a powerful pressure coming over them like Mount High. Then, before he could resist, his eyes turned white and he fainted and fell to the ground, unconscious. In a moment, the numerical advantage on the field was reversed, and most of Marine soldiers fainted. When this scene appeared, the faces of Sengoku and Zephyr in the air changed drastically, and they suddenly became angry. Damn it. The eyes of both of them were split at the same time. As the resourceful general, Sengoku was aware of it now. This is Rock's pirate's tactic to attract his attention. Use a big move at the beginning, so that he can resist Conqueror's haki and have no time to clone, and then release Conqueror's haki unexpectedly, shocking most of the Marine soldiers and fainting. In this way, Marine's advantage in numbers will be gone. All Marines, listen, surround the Rock's pirate, don't let anyone go. Sengoku roared angrily, the killing intent boiling in his heart. Then he stepped on Moonwalk and headed towards the pirate ship in the distance. Zephyr also reacted, scattered the last stray fire, and followed closely behind. After most of the Marine soldiers fell down one by one, the Rock's pirates screamed in surprise. "You cadres are mighty. What are you waiting for? Why don't you kill them now? Gia ha 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 ha, kids, what are you waiting for? Grab me the gold from the sky." Golden Lion Shiki pulled out Sakura, Ju and Kumu, laughing ferociously. The captains and crew members of the 4 pirate ships drove their pirate ships and rushed toward the approaching Marine fleet. One by one, they grabbed their weapons and stormed into the warship with overwhelming force. Newgate looked at the charging Sengoku, and his heart became full of fighting spirit. He waved the bushunkiri in his hand and rushed forward. "Yula la la la, Sengoku. This time there must be a winner." A white air ball appeared on the blade of Kong Yunchi, activated his shock fruit ability, and faced the giant palm slapped by the golden Buddha. "Newgate, I'm going to impel you Rock's pirates all down." Sengoku's heart was filled with rage, golden light bloomed, and the energy fluctuations in his palm became stronger and stronger. Marine's strength advantage is gone. I'm afraid it will be a tough battle. I don't know how many Marine soldiers will die. Sengoku was full of rage, and his golden palms fired a terrifying energy shock wave. How could Whitebeard Newgate be bad? A clicking sound sounded. The Kong Yunchi in his hand was swung and slashed towards the golden giant palm. Wherever he passed, white cracks appeared in the air, as if the space was broken, and the scene was horrifying. Boom, boom, boom. Kong Yunchi and the giant golden palm collided in the air, and the huge shockwave and violent vibration force were entangled together. A ball of energy light formed between the giant golden palm and Kong Yunchi, with golden and white energy rolling and surging in it. Then, it exploded with a bang. Strong shocks and vibrations spread to all directions, and a large crater was blown out of the sea. Pirate ships and warships were hesitating on the rough sea. Some pirates and sailors at close range were blown away by the air current. Sengoku and Newgate separated at the first touch, and then removed their fruit abilities at the same time. Armament haki covered them, stepping on the air and fighting you back and forth in the air. The physical duel was not bad at all, and the airflow generated during the battle swept the entire battlefield from time to time. The top fighting force on the sea, Whitebeard Newgate, Buddha's Sengoku. Yulo on the pirate ship has not yet taken action, but he is very excited inside. Whether it's fruit abilities, haki, or physical skills, one move can unleash earth-shattering power. Rocks, who had been standing there, raised the corners of his mouth and nodded secretly. Yulo really gave him a lot of surprises, with monster-like talent, cadre-level strength, not being reckless when encountering problems, and having a clear mind. More importantly, Yulo has a strong heart, a heart eager to fight and keep getting stronger. With the talents of Rock's pirate, overthrowing the world government is just around the corner. On the other side of the sky, the battle between Golden Lion Shiki and Black Arm Zephyr was equally fierce and spectacular. As a lion fruit user, Shiki's territory is the sky. He floats and has a flexible body, which gives him great advantages. Clang, 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 clang. Sakura Ju and Deadwood kept slashing at Zephyr, and Zephyr transformed his arms covered with armament haki. During the collision, sparks flew everywhere. Ha 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 ha, Golden Lion Shiki, are you tickling me? Zephyr performs the moonwalk among the 6 moves, stepping on the air and jumping back and forth in the air. After a fight, Shiki's Sakura Ten and Kumu only made him feel the slightest pain. Suddenly, before Zephyr finished speaking, he was struck by an oncoming slash and flew away. Well, Zephyr, I haven't seen you for a month, and you've become even more arrogant. Shiki squinted his eyes, feeling quite unhappy, while Sakura Ten and Deadwood kept slashing out. If you dare to taunt me during the battle, let's see if I don't hack you to death. Lion, Wave. Lion, Thousand Slice Valley. Taking advantage of the opportunity for Zephyr to be slashed away, Shiki's figure hovered in the air, moving nimbly. Every time he moved to a position, he struck out with several slashes. Zephyr stepped on Moonwalk, and just as he stabilized his body, dense sword energy fell from the sky. All go, there are so many. Zephyr glared and couldn't help but curse. The overwhelming sword energy made his scalp numb. Moonwalk's agility in the air is inferior to Shiki's lion fruit ability. Even if observation Haki is fully activated, it is difficult to avoid the sword energy that is approaching. Holy shit, I can only bear it one wave. Zephyr was heartbroken, gritted his teeth, and concentrated on fighting at full strength. As a rare expert in Haki and Taijutsu, the coordination between the 6 moves in Haki is perfect in his hands, and the coordination and transition between various moves are natural. Countless 6-style combinations and extended skills were performed by him. For a moment, the air waves rolled and the energy shot out, colliding with the sword energy coming towards him. Boom, 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 boom. Explosions sounded one after another, and violent air waves flowed, pushing Golden Lion Shiki to a high place. Zephyr landed on the warship and took a slight breath. The move just now was indeed subtle and powerful, but it also consumed a lot of energy. This is because his body is extremely strong. If it were a person with average physical strength, he would be exhausted after just a few moves. On the battlefield, there were flashes of swords and waves of air. There was a scuffle between Marine and the pirates. Sengoku, Newgate, Shiki, and Zephyr were evenly matched in a short period of time, and there was no winner. A captain-level pirate from Rock's Pirate. After facing Marine's 6 vice-admirals, only 2 were slightly stronger and could temporarily fight against the vice-admirals. The other 4 were slightly weaker and were suppressed by the 4 vice-admirals. On the other hand, in terms of low-level combat power, due to the fainting of some Marine soldiers, the crew of Rock's Pirate had the advantage. Yulo watched attentively, thinking slightly. Marine was clearly prepared to catch them all. There is no way to continue like this, and the battle will only become more stalemate. They are here to snatch the gold from the sky. The longer the stalemate lasts, the worse it will be for them. If Marine reinforcements arrive again, they may not even be able to grab the gold in the sky. Yulo took one look at the 2 ships carrying heavenly gold, and then made up his mind. He flexed his muscles, his eyes burning with fighting spirit. It ejected with a bang and rushed towards Zephyr, who had just landed back on the warship. Shiki and Zephyr in the distance were about to take action again. Suddenly, the 2 observation Haki felt a powerful aura approaching rapidly. Yulo boy. Shiki was a little surprised when he saw Yulo rushing towards him. Who is this person? He looks strong. Zephyr's face on the warship was solemn. Facing 2 people at the same time, he had to brace himself. He didn't think Yulo would pose a threat to him, but there was a Shiki staring at him. Shiki, I'll hold Zephyr back while you go grab the heavenly gold. Yulo approached Zephyr and shouted to the surprised Shiki. Shiki understood after hearing this, and immediately stopped staring at Zephyr and quickly headed towards the ship containing the sky gold. His ability comes in handy at this time. As long as he touches the hull of the ship, he can control the ship to float above the clouds. In this way, the gold in the sky is obtained, and even if Marine has great abilities, it will not be able to snatch back the ships in the sky. Seeing this situation, Zephyr felt a sudden rush in his heart. How could he watch helplessly as Shiki slipped away from under his nose? If Golden Lion Shiki succeeds in capturing the heavenly gold, they will retreat immediately. Not only did they fail to destroy the rocks, but they also lost the gold in the sky. By then, they would be in big trouble. So before destroying rocks, absolutely no one can be allowed to get close to sky gold. Zephyr hurriedly shot out to intercept Golden Lion Shiki. Fire punch. Suddenly, a voice sounded, and then a wave of fiery air swallowed Zephyr. Yulo activated Qinglian Earth Core Fire, and green flames shot out from his fists, blocking Zephyr's path. When Zephyr saw the blue sea of fire blocking the road, a look of shock flashed in his eyes and he quickly stopped. This is the flame contained in the huge green fire lotus just now. Unexpectedly, it was this young man who released it. He felt the danger from this blue sea of fire. Just standing in front of the sea of fire made him feel as if he was inside a volcano. New Kadri Yulo, you must have released the blue fire lotus and conqueror's haki that fell from the sky just now. Zephyr stopped chasing Golden Lion Shiki, turned around and faced Yulo Meat, and said in a deep voice. He guessed Yulo's identity. Apart from his solemn voice and gloomy face, he didn't have too much anxiety. Because Garp and Crane are watching secretly, ready to support them at any time. Ha 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 ha, Marine's information is quite good. Yes, it's me, Yulo said with a smile, and then thought thoughtfully. It seems that there must be Marines molest inside Rock's Pirate. There was a wave of excitement in Zephyr's heart. The new monster Yulo in front of him was beyond his expectation. Both Cyan Fire Lotus and Conqueror's haki are far stronger than ordinary cadres. Is this the so-called new monster? It is indeed worthy of the word monster. He did not dare to relax at all and quickly adjusted his state. Armament haki covered his whole body, and he really didn't dare to touch the cyan flame. This was the only way to avoid being burned. Zephyr uses Shave and Moonwalk among the 6 moves, combined with Transformation, to move at high speed in midair. He planned to move at high speed to avoid the attack of the blue flames. As long as he can get close to the oil line, the next step will be a battle of physical skills. In an instant, he was in front of Yulo, and the fist-covering armament haki blasted out. The nearby air was driven along, forming circles of airflow that were about to hit Yulo. If Yulo doesn't disperse the green fire, he will be hit by his armament haki. Sure enough, facing the black fist that rushed straight to the door, the rising green lotus on Yulo's body dissipated, and the surrounding temperature instantly dropped a little. A flash of joy flashed in Zephyr's heart. Don't use the fruit demon fruit, see how I torture you. In terms of physical skills, he is quite confident. No matter how strong Yulo is, he still has devil fruit abilities, but he is definitely not as good as him in terms of physical skills. Yulo looked at the fist coming straight at him with a sneer. As a Logia user, how could he not know what Zephyr was thinking? But in front of him, Zephyr made a mistake. But don't forget, he is also a great swordsman. As the space fluctuated, 1001 Nights appeared in Yulo's hands. The 1001 Nights, which was originally a black sword, was covered with armament haki, and the aura it exuded became even sharper and sharper. Yulo held the blade across his chest, and with a clang, Zephyr's fist hit the blade. The fierce punch was torn apart by the sword energy emitted, and the two of them were evenly matched at this moment of collision. This is a black knife. Zephyr felt the tremor coming from his arm, his pupils shrank suddenly, and he couldn't help but secretly thought something bad. What a sharp sword! Only then did he remember that Yulo was a great swordsman. Yulo didn't carry a famous sword with him before. How could this black sword appear out of thin air? Thinking of this, he retracted his contempt for Yulo, and tensed up like he was facing Golden Lion Shiki. Zephyr, your strength is just tickling. Yulo looked at Zephyr mockingly and said what Zephyr said to Shiki before. Then he looked hard and stopped holding back. He also wanted to see who was stronger between him and Zephyr now. HMPH, who doesn't say big words? Show your strength. Zephyr snorted coldly, and the trajectory of his punch was unpredictable, like a group of demons dancing around, constantly colliding with the incoming black knives. Clang, clang, clang. The black knife waved, the cold light flashed, and the sound of the sword sounded one after another. As the saying goes, no matter how good your skills are, you are still afraid of kitchen knives. Gradually, Zephyr felt that the pain in his arms was getting stronger and stronger, even if it was covered with armament haki. He suddenly discovered that Yulo's swordsmanship was as good as Golden Lion Shiki's. Zephyr and Golden Lion Shiki frequently fought against each other, and he knew very well that Shiki's swordsmanship was the best in the entire sea. There are many great swordsmen in the sea, but there are also strong and weak swordsmen among the same great swordsmen. When the four of them heard the information, they subconsciously made preconceptions. Yulo's youth made them think that Yulo was just a new swordsman. Now it seems they were totally wrong and need to re-evaluate this, Rock's Pirate's new cadre. No, after this battle, Marine will destroy everyone in Rock's Pirate. Shocked, the battle must continue. As an admiral candidate, Zephyr is not willing to be outdone. Armament haki was brought to the ultimate level by him, and his 6 style skills were used without reservation. Finger pistol. The jet black index finger gathered huge power and pointed towards Yulo. Even within a short distance, there was the sound of air blasting. Yulo, who was fully focused on the battle, stabbed forward with the black knife. The sword energy flowing around the blade merged with Yulo's sword intention, and continued to converge on the tip of the blade. Clang! The tip of the knife and the fingertips touch. This is not only the collision of armament hockey, but also the competition between swordsmanship and physical skills. Boom! The two powerful energies were entangled, and no one could do anything about the other. Finally, they exploded with a bang and dispersed in all directions. The piercing Qi Jin and the sharp sword Qi swept across the entire battlefield. Qi Jin and sword Qi were everywhere, causing the seawater and clouds to break and become chaotic. Finger holes and sword marks began to appear on the warships and pirate ships floating on the sea. Sengoku and Newgate not far away couldn't help but take a look. It doesn't matter if you don't look at them, but you will be shocked when you look at them. Scattered energy and sword energy rushed towards the faces of the two men. Fortunately, Sengoku and Newgate, Grandmaster Observation Hockey, turned their heads slightly and hid. Gu la 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 la, boy Yulo has made great progress. He is actually evenly matched with Zephyr. Taking advantage of the break in the battle, Newgate laughed. This kid is the new guy. Opposite him, Sengoku's face was as gloomy as water, which was completely different from Newgate's. How could this newcomer Yulo grow so fast? I thought that the main opponents in this operation would be Rox, Newgate, and Shiki, but I didn't expect that the newcomer Yulo would actually fight with Zephyr. It has only been a month since they received the information. At this time, Sengoku realized that they alone could not complete this operation, and they had to let Garp and he who were hiding in the dark take action. They must ensure the success of this operation. Shiki floats in the air and flies towards the ship containing the sky gold. The marine soldiers along the way had nothing to do with Shiki and could only watch as Shiki flew over. But Shiki was very interested, and from time to time he would shoot out a few sword energy downwards, making the marine soldiers below furious. Gia ha 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 ha. Shiki laughed with joy, circled in the air several times, and swooped down towards the ship containing the sky gold. Several marine soldiers who wanted to intercept Shiki were knocked away. Looking at the heavenly gold in front of him, Shiki stretched out his hands. Just when it was about to touch the hull, suddenly, a figure rushed out of the ship containing the sky gold. Bang's punch hit Shiki's body, knocking Shiki out from the top. Shiki was confused. What the hell? Did he get punched just now? Moreover, this person was extremely fast and powerful. He hit him in an instant. Boom! With a bang, Shiki's body fell rapidly towards the sea, and he stabilized his body until he was about to touch the sea water. But the powerful force carried by that punch set off strong winds and hit the sea. The sea water exploded and a crater appeared. It's you, Garp. Golden Lion Shiki looked ugly and didn't react at all. How come Garp appears here? Isn't it just Sengoku and Zephyr? Shiki's expression changed as he thought of Garp emerging from the ship containing the heavenly gold. Could it be that Garp has been hidden on the gold transport ship in the sky from beginning to end? At the same time, in the fierce battle between Yulo and Zephyr, a figure also emerged from the warship next to him. The figure was extremely agile and was close to Yulo in the blink of an eye. The ability to wash fruits is activated. A direct stream of attack hit Yulo who was fighting Zephyr. The great swordsman is extremely sensitive to danger, coupled with the mid-level observation hockey. Yulo noticed when the figure took action. Elementalize. The body turned into green fire and dispersed, avoiding the attack, and regrouped in the distance. You are Crane. Yulo stared at this beautiful figure and recognized it immediately. This is clearly the young Crane Vice Admiral, the future Chief Advisor of Naval Headquarters. At this time, Shiki in the distance was punched away by Garp who suddenly appeared. This scene happened to be seen by Yulo. His brows suddenly frowned. He looked at the crane in front of him and said with a smile. Ha ha ha, Marine is really good at planning, but your lineup is still a bit underwhelming. You know, Rox, as the captain, has not taken action yet. Even Yulo hasn't used his full strength yet. Arrogant and arrogant, you will all be arrested this time. Impel Down has prepared cells for you. Zephyr came to his side, with a dark face and a cold snort. Zephyr felt very embarrassed when he was locked in a battle with an underage brat and ended up being supported by Crane, who was a female soldier. He didn't speak, and kept staring at Yulo, his wise eyes seeming to see through Yulo. Zephyr's words suddenly reminded her that this Yulo must be taken down. Otherwise, with his talent, it will only be a matter of time before he surpasses Rox. That's Garp. Crane. Rox, who had been standing on the pirate ship in the distance, narrowed his eyes slightly and his expression finally changed. What he had been guessing happened. Approach from the beginning, after the marine lurking soldier appears. Rox used the top observation hockey to cover the entire battlefield. He had already sensed that there were still 2 auras in marine. Even though he was well hidden, he couldn't escape Rox's perception. Is that what I think? Rox murmured to himself, then suddenly became enlightened. There was no one in the dark in his perception, and all of Marine's combat power appeared at this moment. But Rox was a little disappointed. With just these few, you really don't know how high the world is. Rox glanced around, his face full of disdain. At this time, Rox took action, and he instantly disappeared from the bow of the ship. Holding a long knife in his right hand, he quickly rushed towards Garp. The ferocious momentum is like an evil tiger pouncing on food. Rox takes action. The marine soldier was terrified inside. Ha ha ha, the captain takes action. Come on. The pirates exclaimed and became even more excited. Garp, watch out. Sengoku, Zephyr and Crane were all startled and reminded loudly. Rox rushed towards Garp. Come on, Rox, you're going to be arrested by me. Garp looked heavy, lowered his legs, clenched his fists, and took a stance. He speaks arrogant words, but his body is very honest. Facing the New World Overlord Rox, he must go all out. Monkey D. Garp, Marine's strongest newcomer. We are all members of the D family, let me test your strength. As Rox spoke, he rushed over Garp. The long knife in his hand suddenly shot out, a cold light flashed, and the sword energy cut through the air and struck Garp. Garp urged armament hockey, his arms and fists were black. The muscles in his waist and legs exerted force, and the whole person was ejected. He will not let the sword energy get close to the warship, otherwise if he blocks the sword energy, the wave generated will overturn the warship. A clang. The sound was like the clash of gold and silver. The hard fist hit Rox's sword energy, causing a spark to scatter, and the sword energy was scattered. Garp felt a bit of pain coming from his fist, which made him energetic. He could sense with his knowledge that this sword was just an ordinary slash without any hockey attached. Even without the blessing of the great swordsman's sword intention, it was just a pure sword energy. Ha ha, it took a while. Rox chuckled, covered armament hockey with the long knife, and slashed again. Garp, who was dispelled by the sword, did not turn around. He stepped on the moonwalk and rushed towards Rox with all his strength. The fists collided with the blades, and the 2 hockeys began to fight. Sparks appeared first, and then turned into domineering black arcs. The energy fluctuated violently, and air waves swept around. Ha 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 ha, you are quite capable. You are from the D clan. Why don't you join me? Rox looked directly at Garp with intense eyes. Rox, stop dreaming. I'm Marine, Garp said through gritted teeth despite the pressure. No kidding, join Rox Pirate. This is an extremely brutal terrorist organization. Rox snorted coldly, and his aura became even stronger. With a bang, Garp staggered back, and it took 5 or 6 moonwalks to stabilize his body. At the same time, his face became more serious. He didn't expect that Rox, who rarely took action, would be so powerful. He is worthy of being the maritime overlord galloping in the new world. At this moment, Golden Lion Shiki took advantage of the loophole, and no one in Marine could stop him. The Marine soldiers on a Sky Gold transport ship were cleared by him in 2 or 3 times. Directly activating the Lion Fruit ability, the transport ship left the water and was slowly floating. Gold is floating in the sky. It's Golden Lion Shiki, stop him. The sharp-eyed among Marine noticed it and quickly shouted in panic. Not good. Broken. Sengoku and Garp exclaimed as they heard the news. Gu la 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 la, Sengoku, where are you looking? Newgate laughed loudly, and the Yongdao in his hand hit Sengoku with the power of shock. There was no chance for Sengoku to escape. Sengoku gritted his teeth and stepped forward helplessly. This is especially true for Garp. Opponents like Rox do not allow him to have any distractions. At this moment, the only ones who can stop Golden Lion Shiki are Zephyr and Crane. The crane in the distance, after watching Yulo for a long time, was awakened by the panic of the marine soldiers. She looked at Zephyr beside her and communicated with her eyes. Zephyr looked heavy and nodded slightly. Then Zephyr stepped forward and faced Yulo. Crane, on the other hand, flashed and was about to go in the direction of Golden Lion Shiki. Snort. Yulo snorted coldly. How could he do what he wished? He is still here, how could he have the confidence to slip away from him? Boom. The temperature in the air rose sharply. Holding the black knife in his right hand, the Qinglian earth core fire in his left hand burned. The wrath of the flame dragon. Yulo stretched out his left hand and shook it at Hizukong. Qinglian's heart fire surged out and turned into a 10-meter-long blue flame dragon, roaring and flying in the direction of the crane. Zephyr's expression changed when he saw this, and he stepped lightly to intercept the green fire dragon. At the same time, Zephyr, yours is here. Yulo's right hand was not idle either, the sword intent on the black sword soared into the sky, blessing armament hockey. 1,080 troubled winds. With one slash of the sword, the wind and clouds dispersed. Countless sword energy shot out, forming a sword energy storm tens of meters long. The lower part even touched the sea surface, and the seawater was directly separated and cut in half. Crane, be careful. Zephyr's expression changed with shock and anxiety, and he reminded Crane. The sword energy storm was extremely fast, just like a real storm. It had already arrived in front of him, and there was no way to escape. Boom, boom, boom. In a hurry, Zephyr unleashed several powerful chi energy. After only dispersing a small part of the sword energy, his attack was like a stone's throw. Ah! Zephyr roared, his aura rising to ultimate, a steady stream of armament hockey in his body covering his whole body, and his hands crossed on his chest. A clang. The next moment, a storm of sword energy swallowed Zephyr. Clang, 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 clang. The sound of Jin Jie kept ringing, which was the collision of sword energy and armed color. On the other side, Crane heard Zephyr's voice. Suddenly she felt a wave of heat coming from behind, instantly making her feel like she was falling from a volcano. Crane uses moonwalk in the air to turn around flexibly. A huge green fire dragon came into view, biting towards her with billowing steam. This temperature is such a terrifying flame. She instantly knew that this was Yulo's cyan flame. She immediately removed moonwalk, and without any power to support her, she fell directly towards the sea. But this is not enough, far from it. This speed can only avoid most of them, but there are still a few parts below that cannot be avoided. Crane's combat power is weaker than that of Sengoku, Garp, and Zephyr. She is not careless about an enemy that Zephyr must take seriously. Armament hockey was launched with full force, focusing on covering the upper body. At the same time, the fruit washing ability was activated, and a 3-meter-long water wave appeared, blocking the green fire dragon. G. Water and fire meet. Water and fire are incompatible. The boiling sound rang 3 times, and then there was no movement. The green fire giant roared past the next moment, missed the crane, and flew away. Even if he had a chance encounter, it would not be easy for he. The body fell. Oh, you are indeed a crane. This Zephyr, tisk tisk tisk. Yulo looked at Crane, then at Zephyr, shook his head and teased. The implication is obvious. Compared with Crane, this Zephyr is too stupid. Sometimes a person's IQ can determine that person's fighting style. After Zephyr was swallowed by the sword energy storm, he resisted the slash with all his strength, and was finally pushed down by the impact. Zephyr, Crane, Sengoku and Garp roared with mixed feelings of worry and anger. This Yulo. The two of them were furious and gnashed their teeth in anger. They have been paying attention to the entire battlefield, and the situation of Zephyr and Crane is no exception. When Yulo took action, the sharp sword energy and blazing flames caught the attention of the two men. Seeing his companions Zephyr and Crane falling injured, Garp was furious. He wanted to rush over immediately and save Zephyr, Crane. But he didn't act impulsively and remained calm. In front of him was rocks, and he wanted to rush over, but he didn't have the slightest certainty. Ah! Newgate. In the roar of Sengoku, a shock wave of his palm bounced off Newgate, and he rushed towards the falling crane. Gu la 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 la, Sengoku, where are you going? Newgate's fists wrapped in a white ball of light, punching hard to the left and right. The shock fruit ability was activated, and white cracks struck Sengoku along the air. Damn it! Sengoku's expression changed as he just turned around, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of crisis. Two waves of violent air vibrations struck him from both sides, forming a pincer attack. In this situation, take care of yourself first. Sengoku transformed into the form of a giant Buddha and pushed his palms to both sides to withstand the incoming shock force. Immediately afterwards, Newgate rushed up and the two struggled again. Sengoku wants to escape, but it is temporarily impossible. The three officers are unable to escape for the time being. Let's go and take care of Commander He. Vice Admiral, who was relatively relaxed during the battle, gave the order. Seeing that the crane was about to fall into the sea, 4 Marine soldiers rushed over. The 4 of them took action together, barely caught the crane, and quickly sent him to the nearest warship. Seeing this scene, Sengoku and Garp breathed a sigh of relief. It would be over if the crane fell into the sea. The demon fruit power was in a coma, and he probably died without even knowing how. Zephyr on the other side was conscious, but his physical strength was too much, and he looked miserable at the moment. Send him to the medical room quickly. He also retreated to the warship and looked at the unconscious crane, his face as gloomy as water. The battle has not yet captured Rox and his gang, and even Crane was injured and unconscious. It seems that this operation is probably in doubt. When Zephyr thought of this, a voice seemed to be cooperating with him. Gia ha 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 ha, Captain Rox, I got gold from the sky. Golden Lion Shiki's arrogant signature laughter rang out, and everyone on the battlefield, from Marines to pirates, could hear it clearly. In the distance, the first gold transport ship in the sky was already floating in the sky. Shiki stood on the second ship, slowly rose into the air, and swept down many Marine soldiers who rushed up. Damn it, we must not let the pirates succeed. Let's rush over together. When the Marine soldiers saw that the gold in the sky was taken away, they were all very angry, and their momentum increased greatly. Every one of them knows that losing the heavenly gold is everyone's dereliction of duty and will be punished. That's why now I want to fight tooth and nail to keep the gold in the sky. But it's not that easy. The pirates are not bad at all. Look, I've got gold in the sky. Wow, we did it. Brothers, these Marines still want to take it back. Stop them all. When the pirates saw the gold in the sky, they immediately cheered. Driven by greed and desire, emotions are high and fighting spirit is high. Each one of them looked like they were on aphrodisiacs, and they yelled at the Marine soldiers when they saw them. Ha ha ha, Shiki, I got the gold from the sky, you retreat first. Young men, don't be obsessed with fighting and retreat one after another. Rox, who suppressed Garp throughout, smiled and gave the order to retreat. What he wants is heavenly gold. Now that heavenly gold is available, why waste energy and continue fighting? After Rox spoke, the pirates stopped their attack and let out a burst of cheers. Under Marine's conspiracy, not only the situation was reversed, but also the gold in the sky was obtained. This is so exciting. On the other hand, the Marine soldiers looked extremely ugly as they looked at the retreating pirates. After all, if their opponents want to run, they can't stop them. Whitebeard Newgate and Sengoku were instantly separated. Gu la 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 la, Sengoku, do you want to continue? Sengoku's face was gloomy, lost in thought. He was really undecided. Whitebeard Newgate took the opportunity and turned around and left. He didn't want to fight anymore. He just fought with just a few moves. Even if he suppressed Sengoku slightly, it would not be easy to defeat him. Yulo looked at the somewhat tired Zephyr below and said playfully, Zephyr, once you take a break, you will rest until the battle is over. Zephyr, who was originally looking solemn, turned pale after hearing this and immediately broke his guard. After Yulo finished speaking, he turned into a stream of fire and moved away from here. Zephyr is helpless. With Yulo's strength, he can't stop him even if he wants to. Rox dodged and jumped far away, while Garp was extremely furious and chased Rox on the moonwalk as he retreated. The operation failed, the gold in the sky was taken away, and even the crane fell into a coma. Garp's originally calm heart was taken over by anger. It's not that he can't accept this, but the premise is that at least one cadre must be left behind and he can have an explanation to his superiors so that he can feel more at ease. Otherwise, Marine's action would be so frustrating. Garp, come back, we can't keep them. Sengoku's heart was also filled with resentment and unwillingness. But as the resourceful general, he still retains his rational judgment. At this time, there is no point in chasing. Even if we catch up, whether we can win or not is still a question. In this plan, I thought Crane would be able to contain the newcomer Yulo, but who would have thought that Yulo was so powerful that he lost his combat power in just one encounter and also restrained Zephyr at the same time. As a result, the high-level combat power was lacking, and Golden Lion Shiki took advantage of the loophole. Garp turned a deaf ear to Sengoku's words and went after him. Rox and Newgate have returned to the pirate ship, and all the captains and crew members have also withdrawn. Under Sengoku's order, the marine soldiers also stopped and stared at the Rox pirate with hatred. Everyone listened to the order, return to the warship, and take your positions. Follow the Vice Admiral Garp ahead. Sengoku quickly issued new orders, his tone full of helplessness. He had no choice but to leave Garp alone. In order to ensure Garp's safety, the marine fleet has been following Garp, but keeping a certain distance. Garp's body kept moving forward, and the air beneath his feet rippled. Under full pursuit, the distance to Rox pirate slowly narrowed. At this time, Garp, after time digestion, the impulse has dissipated. But he was still angry inside, which made him hesitate and slow down. On the pirate ship moving in the distance, the captains and crew members were excited but also always vigilant. Everyone can see that Marine Vice Admiral Garp is pursuing, and the marine fleet in the distance is also slowly approaching. Grr, that guy Garp is really persistent. Whitebeard Newgate sat on the deck, with the clouds aside, looking into the distant sky, and laughed. Gia ha 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 ha, when Garp's strength is exhausted, he will go back honestly. Golden Lion Shiki also spoke, not paying attention to Garp's relentless pursuit. At the same time, he also controls 2 sky gold transport ships, floating in the clouds at the front. The boss, Rox, looked forward, his expressionless face finally furrowing his brows. He also knew that Garp's impulsiveness would fade away when the impulse disappeared. But he was a dignified Rox, and it always made him feel uncomfortable being chased behind him. At this time, Newgate's voice reached everyone's ears. Hey, that's not right. Where is Yulo boy? Why is he nowhere to be seen? As soon as these words came out, Golden Lion Shiki reacted, slapped his thigh and said, yes, I felt like there was someone missing. It turned out to be Yulo. At this point, Shiki's voice stopped suddenly, and then his eyes widened. Young Yulo, you won't let Marine catch you alone. When Whitebeard Newgate heard this, he shouted angrily, Shiki, shut your stinky mouth. When I retreated, I saw Yulo retreating too. Besides, with Yulo's strength, who can catch him in Marine? Quote. While Newgate and Shiki were arguing, Rox kept looking at the sky, looking particularly calm. Rox knows very well where Yulo is. He values Yulo very much. He has been paying attention to Yulo from the battle to the retreat. As for that idiot Golden Lion Shiki, he got 2 ships of heavenly gold and was so excited that he forgot about Yulo. What is that? Look. Suddenly, the pirates' voices sounded, their voices full of surprise. I saw the clouds suddenly shattering above the pursuing Garp. A huge pillar of blue fire fell from the sky and enveloped Garp. Holy shit, is Yulo so violent? Golden Lion Shiki followed everyone's gaze and civilized words came out. Who else could that signature Qinglian Earth Heart Fire be besides Yulo? I, Golden Lion Shiki, asked, who else? Ah, Gu la 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 la, as expected of Yulo, he can surprise you every time. Even Whitebeard Newgate was stunned for a moment before laughing in surprise. He clearly saw Yulo retreating, but why did he disappear? It turned out that he was going to stop Garp. By the way, the person involved, Garp, was hesitating. Observation Haki sensed the attack, and Moonwalk cooperated with the shave, disappearing from the spot. The blue pillar of fire struck the air and hit the sea surface. The sea water evaporated and countless water vapor rose. Taking advantage of the rising fog, several more sword attacks struck. Not far away, Garp had just dodged the cyan fire pillar and was waiting for a furious counterattack. Suddenly, Haki's arms were covered in jet black, and he struck forward. Clang, 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 the iron fist collided with the sword energy. After a few punches, the sword energy was completely shattered by Garp, and the diffuse mist also dispersed. Yulo kid, you can't run away. Garp's voice was filled with anger, and he looked at Yulo who appeared in the air at some point. A hint of surprise appeared in his angry heart. This newcomer Yulo didn't run away. Originally, Garp was about to stop chasing, but Yulo's surprise. Since you dare to show up, consider yourself unlucky, as you are worried that this operation will achieve nothing. Haha, I don't plan to run either. Yulo held the black knife in his right hand and scratched his hair with his left hand, saying rather helplessly. He really had no intention of running away. Just as he was retreating, the system that had been silent throughout the battle suddenly rang, triggering the mission check-in. Ding! Trigger mission check-in. Faced with the pursuit of Monkey D. Garp, the strongest newcomer of the Marine Corps, Host, as the strongest newcomer of the pirates, should shoulder the task of blocking. Please enjoy the collision between Host and Monkey D. Garp. Monkey D. Garp no longer pursues, the mission is successfully checked in, and rewards are distributed. Yulo looked at the task clock on the system interface and complained endlessly. Collide with your sister. Lousy is ready to run away, you ask Lousy to step forward. However, complaints are complaints, and task check-ins are still required. According to the nature of the system, the rewards for task check-ins are very high. Snort. Garp on the other side looked angrily, not giving Yulo a chance to escape, and attacked with an iron fist with a violent aura. Facing the angry Garp, Yulo adjusted his physical condition. Armament hockey and the great swordsman's sword intent are all blessed on the black sword. The muscles all over his body were tense, and he slashed at him with the black knife. The iron fist and the blade collided, splashing several black arcs of electricity, and the two stared at each other. Boom! There was a loud bang. The airflow exploded and violent air waves swept across. Garp stepped on moonwalk and took 5 steps back, looking ugly. Yulo was thrown away, his body rotated and he landed firmly on the stern of the pirate ship. Now the pirates exclaimed, and the vigilant atmosphere disappeared. Shiki and Newgate were a little surprised. They didn't expect Yulo to be able to match up with Garp the Fist. Even Rox couldn't help but curl up his lips after seeing Yulo take action. This Yulo is an absolute monster. Zephyr thought of his battle with Yulo, felt uneasy, and muttered to himself. At this time, Yulo suddenly put the black knife back into its sheath. The hot green fire burned. He held the sheath with his left hand and held it flat in front of him. His right hand slowly held the handle of the knife. Qinglian's inner fire continued to pour into the black knife, and even the black knife began to burn. When Garp saw Yulo returning to the sky above the pirate ship and sheathing his sword, he thought he was going to stop there. But who knows, the next second, the green flames and the black knife seemed to merge into one. Not good. Garp was furious and rushed in Yulo's direction. However, Yulo is ready to go. Burn the city on fire. Accompanied by Yulo's mighty voice. The black knife was suddenly pulled out, and the blade burning with Qinglian's inner fire was unsheathed. Taking advantage of the trend, he swept forward, and hot and majestic blue flames spurted out. The flames on the blade seemed to be endless, and the flames spread rapidly, and a sea of fire appeared out of thin air on the sea. Rolling towards the Garp and Marine fleet. Rushing forward, Garp's expression changed drastically and he suddenly stopped. The blue sea of fire grew bigger and bigger, sweeping over like an overwhelming force. A suffocating heat wave hit Garp's face, causing a burning sensation on his skin. He has also felt the temperature of Qinglian's inner fire. It would be okay if such a terrifying high-temperature flame hits his body. There was no way to hide from such a huge sea of fire, touching the sea below and the clouds above. As a last resort, Garp could only retreat. But after retreating a certain distance, he found that the sea of fire spread extremely quickly. If we retreat further, we will have to retreat to the sky above the Marine fleet. Garp gritted his teeth and stopped retreating. Armament hockey was fully covered, and he looked like a little black man at first glance. He clenched his fists, his muscles bulged, and he used all his strength to strike 2 of his best iron fists. Razor activates Moonwalk and Shave fusion skills. The whole person shot out like a bullet, and a sharp trajectory appeared in the air, pointing directly at the surging blue sea of fire. Garp, don't be reckless, Sengoku and Zephyr exclaimed when they saw this scene, with worried looks on their faces. At this time, Garp had already rushed out, like a black stream of light. Withstanding the intense heat, the moment he got close to the flames, the energy from the iron fist hit the sea of fire, blasting a big hole. Garp rushed in with overwhelming force, and driven by his energy, he penetrated directly through the sea of fire. Huh, what's going on? Garp rushed out of the sea of fire and showed a surprised expression. This is a bit too simple. The temperature of this flame was indeed terrifying, but when he passed through the sea of fire, it was instantly dispersed by the force of his fist. It didn't attack him at all, burning his body. Garp couldn't help but look at Yulo, who launched the attack. Yulo from a distance has been watching here, with a smile of success on his lips. Oops. Garp stared, noticed this inexplicable smile, and thought to himself with a thump in his heart. He turned around quickly and saw that the hole he had made had completely healed. The blue sea of fire was still majestic and overwhelming, and it was getting farther and farther away from him, moving forward behind him. This blue sea of fire was not targeting him at all. But, behind him, the marine fleet. Garp was filled with anger and looked at Yulo with murderous intent in his eyes. Yulo smiled but said nothing. Ah! Garp roared, turned around and rushed into the fire. On the other side, everyone in Marine saw Garp breaking through the sea of fire. Before they could be happy, they saw the sea of fire unabated, falling from the sky and covering the entire Marine fleet. This is... Zephyr's eyes widened when he saw this. Quick, quick, everyone retreat. Sengoku even directly issued the order to retreat. When the Marine soldiers heard this, they immediately panicked. At this time, they had already felt the terrifying high temperature coming from Qinglian's core fire. In a hurry, he controlled the warship and changed its direction. However, it was too late. The green sea of fire was so fierce that it was like fire descending from heaven, swallowing out the entire Marine fleet. The green fire made a sizzling sound when it touched the sea surface, and the water mist evaporated and spread continuously. A huge fire ring was formed, with flames burning all around, and a flame barrier tens of meters high, trapping the Marine fleet inside. Hiss, is this the strength of Yulo Kadri's? This flame is really terrifying. It will not be extinguished when exposed to water, and it will continue to evaporate seawater. Who says it isn't? I can feel the heat from so far away. The captains and crew members below were almost dumbfounded. Chunin couldn't help but gasp in shock. Oh no, it was hot air. Everyone was talking about it and felt very excited. The funny thing was that they were still wiping sweat. Golden Lion Shiki and Whitebeard Newgate have become accustomed to it, and they returned to normal after being shocked. Logia Devil Fruit, is it so scary? Shiki couldn't help but smacked his mouth twice and sighed. Gu la la la, Shiki, it depends on who developed it. It's not surprising if it's Yulo. Newgate laughed happily and praised Yulo without hesitation. Even Rock's eyes were filled with surprise. He didn't expect Yulo to be able to develop such a powerful skill. Yulo witnessed everything and his goal was achieved. He turned around and jumped from the air, landing steadily back on the pirate ship. Yulo sat down, leaned on the boat, stretched, and said, "Let's go." He wanted to take a rest when he retreated, but the system triggered a mission check-in, so he postponed it until now. Retreat. Rox waved his hand, and the 5 pirate ships cut through the waves and quickly left the hot sea. The atmosphere on the Rox pirate ship is extremely cheerful. Not only did he successfully seize the heavenly gold, but he also failed Marine's conspiracy. The last move, burning the city with fire, is even more exciting. Yulo, you are such a pervert, your strength has improved so fast. Shiki's tone of approval was mixed with a hint of envy. Who would not envy such a terrifying talent? Now Yulo has the strength of Newgate and Shiki. Shiki, you can say I'm a genius, or very strong and handsome, but don't say I'm a pervert. Yulo finally managed to be quiet for a while. After hearing Shiki's words, he twitched the corner of his mouth and said through gritted teeth. It's not impossible to say that my talent is pervert, but I have to be said to be a pervert. Is this really good? Oh, I got it, I got it. Shiki waved his hand casually, not listening to what Yulo said at all. In his opinion, these are not important, he is too lazy to care about them. Trouble, Yulo, that move that burned the city with fire just now was your newly developed skill. Why don't you take the initiative to attack despite looking so spectacular? Quote. At this time, Newgate asked curiously. He saw that the sea of fire did not burn Garp, so he thought that if it was used for siege, it could completely cover armament hockey and break through. Newgate's question immediately attracted Shiki, and even Rox pricked up his ears. They witnessed the entire process of this move. In addition to not burning Garp, the temperature, momentum, and range are all considered a unique skill. Yulo couldn't help but smile. It was just a skill, he had many more, so it didn't hurt to say it. This move was just developed by me, and it's the same as Newgate's use of Cloud Cut to activate the shaking force. I felt that the black knife could also be used as a medium to activate Qinglian's inner fire, so I gave it a try, and unexpectedly it was successful. Quote. Yulo found an entry point and made up a random paragraph. Rox, Newgate, Shiki nodded repeatedly. The main function of burning a city is to besiege it, and the second is to attack. Forming a wall of flames, it is like wrapping a palm around the Marine fleet. Once it breaks through forcefully from the inside, it will be pursued by the flames. Judging from the amount I just released, it won't be a problem to burn it for a long time. Quote. Yulo thought about the instructions for using this move and continued. Gia ha ha ha, that's it. First guess Marine has already broken through internally by now. La 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 la, I really want to see what Sengoku's expression looks like now. Shiki and Newgate suddenly realized and laughed. The monstrous sea of fire enveloped the Marine fleet like a giant palm, making the entire fleet unable to advance or retreat. The scorching air waves continued to attack the Marine soldiers, and the air was steaming like a sealed steamer. All the soldiers were dripping with sweat and their clothes were soaked. Some of the weaker ones had lost moisture in their bodies faster and had begun to have dry mouths and dizziness. Seeing the condition of their companions, the other soldiers couldn't help but panic. They were slightly stronger, but it was only a matter of time, and they would become like this before long. Damn it! Garp and Zephyr were so angry that they gritted their teeth, veins popped out on their faces, and they clenched their fists tightly. These are their soldiers, and this situation cannot last long. Big Buddha shock wave. Sengoku directly transformed into a golden Buddha, and he wanted to use the shock wave to disperse the sea of fire. The giant palm was pushed forward, and violent energy fluctuations hit the sea of fire. The flames were blown away, and a large hole appeared. However, the next moment, flames came from both sides, filling the hole in an instant, and two streams of fire even hit Sengoku. Seeing this, Sengoku dispersed the flow of fire, with a gloomy expression on his face, and released the great Buddha form. The glimmer of hope the Marine soldiers had was instantly shattered. This green fire seems to be flowing in an endless stream. I'm afraid it won't work if I try to break it up. Zephyr, who had witnessed everything, said in a deep voice. He had the same idea as Sengoku just now, but now it seems that it is no longer possible. The most incredible thing is that even after being exposed to seawater for a while, it has not been extinguished yet. Having seen the scorching heat of Qinglian's inner fire, Garp couldn't help but say. Suddenly, Garp's words gave Sengoku an idea, and he shouted loudly. Everyone obeys the order. All soldiers below the Vice Admiral will go into the sea, and non-demon fruit power will help demon fruit power and swim out of the water. Garp and Zephyr were anxious, their minds were shaken, and they hurriedly urged. Act now. The Marine soldiers were in panic and despair, but the words of Sengoku, Garp and Zephyr were ringing in their ears, giving them hope, and they took action quickly. When people are at a critical moment of life and death, they are often very efficient. In just tens of seconds, all the Marine soldiers jumped into the sea. Only 6 Vice Admiral, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr and the unconscious Crane were left on the warship. Armament hockey has full coverage, we rush out directly. Sengoku glanced at everyone and said in a deep voice. Everyone nodded heavily. They all have mid-level armament hockey, which can burn and roast them for a short period of time without causing too much damage to them. As for those ordinary Marine soldiers, very few have primary armament hockey, and most of them have not yet understood it at all, so they can only use this strategy to let them dive into the water and swim out. Originally, the operation failed and 1/3 of the troops were lost, which was already a great shame and humiliation for Sengoku and others. If the entire army is wiped out during the retreat, it is estimated that they will not be able to hold their heads up in Marine in the future. Everyone urged armament hockey with all their strength, jumped through the sea of fire, and broke through to the outside of the sea of fire. Contact Naval Headquarters immediately and dispatch a response fleet. Sengoku looked at the soldiers surfacing one after another, his voice trembling. On the one hand, the Marine soldiers survived the disaster, and on the other hand, the phone bugs called back, completely announcing the failure of their operation. The 2 ships of Sky Gold that were robbed were the dereliction of duty of all Marines in the operation. After Sengoku finished speaking, everyone hesitated. Upon seeing this, Garp stepped forward and handed the unconscious Crane to Zephyr. Then he took out a phone and dialed. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. 2 warships returned with everyone from Sengoku. After the warship docked, the Marine Headquarters quickly responded to the wounded. Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp, Crane, with heavy steps and anxious moods, headed to Marine Marshal Kong's office. Crane had woken up from his coma, but he was a little weak. She has always been calm, but now she still feels palpitations when she thinks of the cyan flames. Flames of that kind of temperature are simply the nemesis of the fruit washing ability. The 4 of them came to the door of the marshal's office and were waiting to knock on the door when Kong's voice came out. Enter. It was not difficult to hear the suppressed anger in the voice. The 4 of them looked at each other and finally pushed the door open and entered. As soon as you enter, you can feel the heavy and depressing atmosphere in the air. Kong sat at his desk, his expression terrifyingly gloomy. What do you do for food? Forget the failure of the operation, even 2 ships of gold in the sky were taken away. 1/3 of the force and 7 warships were lost. Even Crane was injured and unconscious. Can't he even protect his own companions? After the 4 people entered the office, Kong couldn't suppress his inner anger and became irritable. The 4 people, who had been mentally prepared, still couldn't bear the physical and mental shock. Sengoku at the front covered his face, wiping the spit from his face while covering up. They knew Kong's anger in their hearts, and even if they felt a little aggrieved, they endured it silently. There was silence in the office for a while before Kong's irritable mood subsided. He took a deep breath to calm down and asked, "How is your injury?" No matter how much he reprimanded the 4 people, it was just to vent the anger in his heart. Kong's condolences relieved the atmosphere in the office. My body is not seriously injured, it's just that my consciousness was shocked and I was temporarily comatose. Crane answered truthfully. That's good. Kong breathed a sigh of relief. They are Marine's future. If any one of them has an accident, it will be Marine's loss. Crane's words reassured Sengoku, Garp, and Zephyr. To them, the Crane is an important companion. Sit down. Then, Kong spoke. Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, Crane, sat down honestly. That newcomer Yulo, is his strength really as terrifying as you say? Kong, who got the news from the phone bug, still didn't believe it because he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. Kong made repeated arrangements for this operation. In order to ensure that Rox would retreat after discovering the trap, he even arranged 2 ships of heavenly gold. Even if Rox discovered it, he might not retreat easily. For this reason, Naval Headquarters was ready to provide support, but unexpectedly, news of the failure of the operation came. Garp and Zephyr couldn't do anything about it. He's image phone bug and I recorded the entire process of the action, but his image ended after she fell into coma, and I recorded what happened next. Sengoku smiled bitterly and took out 2 delicate phone bugs from his arms. Play it for me quickly. Kong almost became angry. Why didn't you take out the video earlier? You had to wait for me to ask you for it. The image phone bug starts playing the video. The scene at the beginning was of green fire lotus falling from the sky, covering the entire Marine fleet. Is this the new guy Yulo's move? Kong narrowed his eyes and asked Sengoku. Yes, it is made of a kind of cyan flame. The temperature of this flame is extremely high, even volcanic magma cannot reach it. Sengoku explained. Kong's eyes also froze, and he kept staring at the video being played. The screen flashed quickly, and Zephyr was suppressed in the battle, and the Crane was knocked unconscious with one move, until the city was burned down in the end, and the sea of fire trapped the entire Marine fleet. The video ended here. The office was silent, Kong was silent, Sengoku and others sat silently without disturbing. Yulo's fighting prowess shocked Kong, whose swordsmanship was at the level of a great swordsman. Ultra-high temperature cyan flame, can a young man do this? Joined Rox Pirate a month ago to suppress Kadriakoku. Although Akoku has a bad reputation, his strength is not very strong. In the past battles, Garp and Zephyr did not kill Akoku, but they also defeated it. In just 1 month, the strength can be improved to the point where Suppressor and Garp are evenly matched. Kong realizes that this Yulo poses a threat second only to Rocks. If given time, he will surpass Rocks sooner or later. This Yulo is too much a threat to Marine. Post a reward later, Kong said solemnly, but there was nothing that could be done for the time being. Except for the Marine Admiral, no one can stop Yulo for now. What about the 2 ships of heavenly gold? Sengoku asked reluctantly. Garp, Zephyr, and Crane also looked at Kong. HMPH. It's time to report it to Mariajoy. Kong snorted coldly and then changed the subject. But fortunately, I didn't inform the 5 elders about this operation. I only reported the news that the Rocks pirate had stolen the heavenly gold. Mariajoy. World government, where the power lies. A spacious conference room. What? Rocks pirate. 2 ships of heavenly gold were robbed. What do you Marines do for food? A blond old man in a dark red suit shouted angrily. The other 4 old men were also angry and looked ugly. Blatantly attacking the Marine fleet and snatching the gold from the sky is a slap in the face of celestial dragons, and it does not take the world government into consideration at all. Sengoku, Zephyr, and he stood in front of the 5 powerful people and received their training honestly. Garp hates celestial dragons. Even if it is Mariajoy, he still won't come. After the 3 were scolded by Kong at Naval Headquarters, they came to Mariajoy and were scolded by the 5 elders. But this is still a good thing. If the 5 elders knew about the failure of this operation, they would not have reprimanded them alone, but all 5 of them together. Marine represents world government, but now it has lost all face. The gold in the sky has been lost. It's useless to scold them anymore. Let's think about how to deal with the Rocks pirate. The Rocks pirate is getting stronger day by day, and Rocks D. With nearly 10 officers on board, plus the talented newcomer Kaido, the Rocks pirate is no longer weaker than the world government. That monster Yulo will definitely grow up to surpass Rocks and become a huge threat. If Rocks pirate is allowed to continue to grow and develop, it will be even more difficult to deal with them. The 5 old men each expressed their opinions and began to discuss. After a few words, their faces became more solemn. Sengoku, Zephyr, and Crane stood silently like air. As the 5 elders talked, they unknowingly turned from scolding Marine to dealing with Rocks pirate. They are worthy of being the 5 people who stand at the pinnacle of power. They can see the essence of things from the surface. Now in Rocks pirate, in addition to the veteran cadres, new pirates have also begun to grow. The trend is faster than Marine's new recruits, which is not a good sign. If not killed in time, these newcomers will pose a threat to the rule of the world government after they fully rise. Let's put down the matter of Tianshengjian for the time being. We won't let the families above go to Marine to trouble him, but Marine will have to make amends for it later. The 5 people looked at each other, and they had the same mind, and a bald old man said. After all, Marine is the face of world government, and Sengoku, Zephyr, and Crane are Marine's hope for the future. I can only scold them and let it go. After all, they will always be used. Marine made a good decision some time ago, gradually shifting its focus to New World. But this is not enough. Tell Kong to recall the 2 admirals, Philong and Daihu, and let them contribute again before they retire. As for that Yulo, issue a reward order with a reward of 1.5 billion. The most majestic of the 5 old men said to Sengoku, Zephyr, Crane. Afterwards, the 5 people explained some things, and then the eviction order was issued. Sengoku, Zephyr, and Suru hurried back to Naval Headquarters. The next day, Naval Headquarters issued a bounty order for Yulo. At the same time, Kong published the news about the sky gold being robbed in the news agency. There is no way, in order to cover up this failed action, Kong can only change from passive to active. The news agency printed it as soon as possible and arranged for newsbirds to deliver the newspaper to every corner of the sea. Newsbirds search the sea for land and ships, landing on ships when they see them. Some unknown pirates handed Bailey over in exchange for newspapers. Every day is just trivial things. I hope today's ones are a little interesting. A pirate took the newspaper and couldn't help but complain. He stayed at the sea all day, tired and bored, so he looked forward to reading newspapers for fun. However, naval headquarters and some pirate groups appear in the exact same location every day, as if they paid for their location. The key is that there is nothing serious, what to eat every day, what content to train, this needs to be discussed every day. Suddenly, a piece of paper fell out of the newspaper. When the pirate saw it, he saw that it was a reward notice. EULO. Never heard of that. Hiss. 1.5 billion. He was a little confused at first, and then took a breath. He stared at the reward amount so hard that his eyes almost popped out. So much bounty amount, what on earth did you do? And who is this EULO? With excitement, he opened the newspaper. Holy crap, Rock's pirate stole the gold. New cadre EULO. Are you so young? What he saw was so unbelievable that he felt like he was in a dream. I just complained that you are boring, and you just do it with such force, I feel like my heart can't bear it. This scene keeps happening on the sea. Rock's pirate snatched the gold from the sky. Newcomer EULO knocked Crane unconscious, suppressed Zephyr, and was evenly matched with Garp. As well as the 1.5 billion Baileys on the bounty and EULO's young figure. Marine is in trouble this time. It's okay in paradise, but in New World you can't even see gold in the sky. That's gold in the sky. I guess only Rock's pirate dares and has the strength to steal it. Speaking of which, EULO, the new cadre, offered a reward of 1.5 billion for the first time, which is incredible. Yes, look at the photo, you are too young. The pirates were all shocked, and Rock's pirate and EULO also became the topic of conversation after dinner. New World's Roger Pirates. Bullet took the newspaper. A flash of shock suddenly flashed across his face, and then the fighting spirit in his heart was aroused. Fighting and defeating the strong is his pursuit. Bullet, you want to fight again? Roger's top observation Hockey noticed Bullet's changes and turned around to ask. I think Rayleigh wants to hit people more. Bullet came to his senses, handed the newspaper to Roger, and said calmly. Roger was a little puzzled. He took the newspaper and read it. His pupils shrank first, and then he burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha, Rayleigh, I'm afraid you won't be able to get revenge. The laughter attracted Rayleigh and Jabba, who stepped forward and took a look at the newspaper. How is that possible? It's only been half a month. This EULO is indeed a monster. Jabba was the first to exclaim, the content was really incredible. Rayleigh was also surprised and couldn't help but touch his head. His face darkened at this touch. The Rock's pirate is getting stronger and stronger, and Rock's ambitions are gradually exposed, and now it has begun to take action against the world government. As the think tank of the Roger Pirates, Rayleigh was not impulsive, but said in a deep voice. As soon as these words came out, everyone's expressions became solemn. Rayleigh looked at Roger and said, the Rock's pirate is like an overlord in the New World. If you want to become the Pirate King, you must get rid of Rocks. Everyone was silent, waiting for Roger to speak. Ha 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 ha, please believe me, I am the man who wants to become the Pirate King. Roger smiled, his laughter revealing determination. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.